If WW3 breaks out and you're drafted, what position would suit you? I'd be the dude at the start of the movie who gets brutally blown up to set the tone. I'm a 62-year-old man. If I'm drafted, we've already lost the war. The fetal position. Is there a NCO in charge of back in my day? Casualty. Nice try ARMY. Well, I work in cybersecurity, so I would assume that the biggest change would be the source of my paycheck. As I'm in Europe, I've already would have seen the light before my draft letter would have even been written. Target. Bombard General. Mid lane. Corpse. German here, M48, overweight, untrained desk pilot IT guy, no military experience aside of clicking pixels dead and shoving miniatures around on a grid. A friend of mine, himself being reserve in Bunsware, once said if we have to draft guys like you, shit has really hit the fan. And he's right. We'd be just cannon fodder or POWTBH if the WW3 will be fought as they imagined. Middle West Europe will be a glowing waste with low to no population to draft at all. Well, I'm a mortician and the armed forces will need more during war. Things would have to have really gone to shit if my crippled ass is being drafted, so probably cannon fodder. Cook. Swiss neutral. I'm a biomedical engineer. My hope would be in something related to increasing soldier efficiency and performance in the field. However, with my luck I'd end up making bioweapons, or committing some other war crime. The town crier, because I'd be crying 100 of the time. Chef. Probably the kitchen at whatever prison I'm sent to for draft dodging. Combat engineer. If your bridge doesn't have a fucking body count, can you really call yourself an engineer? Nice trench you got there. Be a shame if a bunch of good old boys who worked construction 8 months ago tunneled under it and blew it up. It's basically in Minecraft but not in Minecraft. Protest folk singer. Draft typist. I'm partial to doggy but missionary is fine too. Chef. I guess I would just keep working on these shitty F-15Es that always break. I've played COD over the years, so I'd be good at keyboard warfighting. In terms of useful skills, I could probably learn to fly a drone or analyze intelligence. In terms of national needs, I'd probably be put in the trenches. Drone pilot. Fucking soldier that doesn't do anything but learn Morse code. I'm working in a hospital. So medic I think. Anti-tank unit, as the tanks correspond in size with what my eyes are able to see in general. Deserter. I would like to undergo sniper training. I would then miss half the shots I take. Medical regulation. I move wounded, ill, and injured across the battlefield to the appropriate level of care worldwide. The hardest part is getting someone from point of injury to a hospital located in a safe area. The amount of logistics it takes to save a life in combat would blow your mind. Well, I have this neat little ID that says severely disabled on it, so I doubt I'd ever get drafted. The government would have to be very desperate to draft severely disabled people. It's way more likely that we surrender or lose before that happens. But if by some miracle I did get drafted, my position would be accountant. They're not gonna let me near weapons anyway, considering my well-documented history of depression, and I'm good with numbers. If I were able to choose a branch, it'd be the Air Force. Unfortunately though, it seems we are not allowed to make that decision should a draft occur. Information or artillery. Probably back to one of my quartermaster officer positions, such as supervising mortuary affairs, soldiers who pick up remains of fallen soldiers. Considering that it would be WWII, we would have our hands full. Logistics coordinator probably. I work in product management now, and 80 of the job is people management. Granted, I think I aged out of the draft, but in wartime, I am sure Congress is willing to make exceptions. Supply and logistics. I'm 47. If you're up to people my age, we're all well and truly fucked, so I wouldn't bother showing for the draft. I'd just go peace out in the woods and wait for the midnight Sunday. Draft dodger. Wouldn't draft me. Legally blind. Whatever non-competent position there is, I guess. Draft dodger. Cuba, here I come. Hello, it's me. And Frank. Drone pilot. 15 years building, driving and troubleshooting every remotely controlled vehicle imaginable with the exception of military grade. I can solder a gnat's lips shut, and have the hands of a surgeon. Not really, but goodness, you'd be surprised how many folks can't solder. POW camp guard for the Allies had read it was a pretty nice situation in the US where German POWs were kept. Germans were also pretty happy in there. Leroy Jenkins. Espionage. No one would suspect little or me. Missionary. I'm gonna be the guy who brought a whole bunch of cocaine and everyone thinks is dead in the first hour till I come back at the very end with 96 scalps, 36 ears, and a foot. Keep your Medal of Honor, give me congratulatory cocaine. Mechanic repair for vehicles. Pressure wash the previous occupants, repair tank, and send it back out. Power forward, but I'm too small now. No, but seriously. I have a master degree in geography and all my work involves geostrategy and use of satellite images. I think I can be useful somewhere else, lol. Most of you will be support. Cooks, medic, supply, fuelers, truck drivers, waste management, S1 documents personnel. Young men will be infantry. God loves the infantry. We visit the most. My apologies, but fats will be driving tanks, beats walking. MIA. Gonna find a cave somewhere. See you after the war. Irradiated corpse in the nuclear winter cooling, post-apocalyptic carcass of Earth. Bro, if they had to draft me then they'd be scraping the bottom of the goddamn barrel, lol. I'm 36, diabetic, have a cataract and 1 kidney. Listen, if I'm getting drafted, we probably need to surrender, lol. Data intelligence. CFC coward first class. Drone pilot. Whatever wears red shirts. Cookhouse helper. I wouldn't. Like my RDC once, scream at me, you're going to get everyone killed. Gonna end up in some mobile data center in the desert. I would take inspiration from America's recent president. I would dodge the draft while calling the rest of you losers and suckers. L-flap stinger Biobacter. I'm trained on a Lockheed Martin P-Star ER. Radar. I finished my base training conscription on November 3rd. If it's not total war, anti-war protester. If there's no other option, drone pilot, cook, quartermaster or medical aid. Reverse cowgirl. 53-year veteran. Love my country, hate all of the fuckers running, ruining it. I would protest, fight heavily against a draft to kill more people. I hate the state-driven war machine with a passion. I have daughters, nieces, nephews, and friends who would be drafted. It breaks my heart that people can't see through all of the politicians' evil agendas. I will fight for keeping our future out of any war that doesn't specifically threaten what freedom we have left. The fight should be here against the tyranny and corruption in our own government. End rant. I'd be a working from home field marshal. I'd come up with all the tactics and strategy right from my armchair. Somebody else can do comms. Bait. Not fighting. Conscientious objector. Draft dodger. The draft dodger. Prone. Cybersecurity, because I honestly feel like WW3 will be heavily reliant on cyber. I'd think I'm Richard Winters where in reality I'm Herbert Sobel. Nobody's getting drafted. The jig is up on world powers simply using war as a means to expand colonialism, and nobody is going to fight a war for oil without the pretext of it being a necessary good to abolish some foreign evil army. Inmate in a prison for those who refused the draft. Probably sitting in jail. I'm not fighting wars for people who don't give a shit about the people being sent to war. Obviously operating room theater and or cardiovascular ICU. I'm too old to do frontline 68W combat medic shit, but I'd be useful as hell in the major base medical unit field hospital. But I'd have to make sure they merit my family nearby. I'm not leaving them for anything. Deserter. I'm not giving my life for any country or war. In an office doing paperwork. Somewhere far in the back, if I'm in combat I'm going to freeze up and get someone killed. I'm 39 and overweight. Plus I have a knee that is bad enough to qualify me for medical disability due to repeated injuries in football and a car wreck. If they are getting desperate enough to draft me, we are screwed. Real answer, being that I'm a software engineer and Linux system admin, I'd probably be more useful in the cyber war than the real world war. Medic. I've already been there, done that. Punt return. Draft dodger. Prob going for the position of draft dodger. Draft dodger. Going to front lines. Over 40, overweight, physically disabled, mentally disabled. I'll probably be put in charge. I doubt we'd get a choice. If the US is drafting at this point, we're in some serious trouble. Drafted or not. If the draft doesn't go well, then the enemy more than likely will invade once defeating our initial defenses, and then it's everyone for themselves anyways. If the draft goes well and we win the war, whatever that means, we'll have such a generational gap that the rest of our lives would be working back breaking labor to build the country back up again. I dunno, good question though.